Hi. Good morning. It's Sunday. It's another good day. It's rainy. Everybody in the house is calm. It's been a very peaceful start to the day so far. Today we're going to talk about something that maybe is like a little bit unsexy, but it's an important part of the process, so I thought I would document it. So here I am. We're going to talk about file organization and content entry, because that's what I've been doing off and on this week in the evenings while I'm watching The Sopranos or The Pitt or whatever. That stuff is on in the background, and I'm on my computer cleaning up some files for content entry, organizing some things, and then actually going inside of the content management system and adding things. So before I get into that though, I want to read something. I've read this numerous times over the last 11 years. I bought this book with Ravi Mangia. We went to a cigar shop in Portland, Oregon, and I didn't buy it because there were boobs on it. I bought it because the editor's note was moving, and it was relevant then, and it's even more relevant now. And I want to share it with you in case you find it inspiring too. Is it related to file organization? No. It has nothing to do with that. The tangle of hair and vinyl and smog and exuberance of the 1970s is in many ways a distant mirror image of the hair and sensors and climate and surveillance of today. These are both historic times of futile war, volatile nature, and exacerbated inequality. We are collectively at peak anxiety over a future that could swing wildly in any direction. As before, we have learned to cope through rich color, warmth, and tactility, all newly on display everywhere from food to music. Straightforward, earnest beauty is fashionable once again, and art and design are doubling down on their most human qualities: serendipity, softness, vulnerability. And we cannot but notice that no one is in this alone. There's no longer wisdom in isolationism, no big truth in evasive minimalism. Doors are opening to refugees around the world. Fewer people are excluded from marriage, and injustices of every stripe are shared instantly for all the world to see. We are interconnected indeed, bound together in supreme love. Sending love to you wherever you are. What a wild, strange time we live in, but what a gift it is to be alive. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's get out of our feels and into file explorers, okay? Okay, so a quick status update. Let me switch over to the dashboard view here. I have been adding so much content into Sanity. It's almost silly. I'm about 404 pieces deep now, and it's time consuming. I'm not gonna lie. And as I mentioned, this is a part of the process that a lot of folks maybe don't think about, don't plan for. And so I thought I just would share some things that I've learned after about 16 years of creating a shit ton of files. How do I keep things organized so that I can do things like this relatively quickly, even though it's still time consuming? As a quick refresher, what does it look like to successfully have a piece of content entered into Sanity? Well, in my case, there's a bunch of metadata that I want to attach to each particular asset or media on the website. I'm just calling it media. It could be an image, it could be a video. I want to attach alt text to everything, including videos. Again, I mentioned in the last episode, videos technically don't have alt text. That's not a semantic property that you can put on a video tag. Oftentimes, videos come with captions, closed captions, and that can help. What I like to do is I'll put an ARIA label on the video or the figure that wraps the video to just let screen readers know, like, hey, this is what you're going to see here. It's just a nice optimization. It's not a requirement, but I care about making this shit as accessible as I can for as many people as I can. And so this is a good habit to get into. Alt text for everything. Then I categorize things in a way that makes sense to my own sort of workflow. I like to have high-level categories, and I may even simplify these a little bit, which is nice about Sanity. You can sort of retroactively and programmatically change this stuff pretty easily. But I think it's important just to like get started. So I started with these, and then I have more granular bits of. These are more like low-level tags, descriptors. Was it a scan, like a computer scanner? Was it a screenshot? Did it incorporate 3D? Did I use like Blender or Cinema 4D or whatever? Was it like a work in progress sketch? Was it made with the diffusion network or AI? Was it a website? Yada, yada, yada. So there's all sorts of ways I can tag it. Maybe there's a client attached to it, so I'll tag it that way. So again, what's nice is I can use all of these little labels as filters, which, I may not expose all of those filters on the front end, but for me in the future, I might use this website as a way to kind of zero down on into a couple bits of work. And then of course, there's other metadata that I might want to take advantage of. I like to chronologically organize things. So I want to have the date that asset was created. I also have gone ahead, as I mentioned in the last episode, I created a plugin into Sanity that fetches the EXIF data from whatever camera I used. If it's a screenshot or something saved out of Photoshop or created in Photoshop or Figma or wherever, this shit doesn't exist. That EXIF data is missing. But if it's a photo taken, directly from my iPhone or my little point and shoot camera or whatever, that data is maintained. And again, this is stuff that I can use to filter things by down the road if I want. So that's helpful. And then maybe it's helpful to have coordinate data. Maybe at some point I want to have things on a map of like, oh yeah, I made that there whenever I was traveling abroad or whatever. I don't know. I may not even expose this stuff on the front end, like I said, but it's going to be helpful for me. And down the road, if I want to leave Sanity, it's going to be very easy to export all of this stuff. Okay, so every asset has a whole bunch of metadata, and that's been great, but it's tedious. It's a lot of content entry, right? On the front end, I've not done much. I did set up the construct as I walked through in the last episode, and now I've gone through and I've incorporated some of the prototypes into the construct, and I have gone ahead. Oh, that's my friend's cat, Pete. What a sweet boy he was. At any rate, been adding content. You can see here that I've also gone ahead and I've created just the mechanics for the filter system. So I can filter by videos if I want. I can filter by image types. I can filter by different categories. I can combine those categories. Let's randomize those. I can filter by a particular tag. If I want to see only 3D stuff, great, I can do that. If I want to see, let's undo some of this. All the stuff tied to a particular client, I can do that. I've also gone ahead, I've got this randomize button, and that's kind of neat. You can organize by date, something that's new, something that's old, and that's pretty much it. That's what I've done. So nothing all that new or interesting on the front end, but we'll get to that later. I'm more interested right now in just making sure that everything is neatly organized and is labeled accordingly. Great. So that's the status update there. Love it. Okay, let's talk about file organization. This is the sexy part of the convo. It doesn't matter what your system is. Like, if it works for you, great. I'm just going to share what has been helpful for me. Has it been perfect? Has it come without hiccups? No. But I've managed to keep things fairly organized over the last 16 years of creating a bunch of files. And I'll just share what works for me. I do want to stress, don't overthink it. There are I've watched a lot of YouTube videos where folks are getting it's too complicated. And it's I want no part in naming all of these files, all these semantic things. It's too much. Okay. So what I do is very simple. And I'll visualize this in a couple of ways. We're going to first look at a diagram together that I lovingly created just for you. And then we're going to go into like the actual folder system. I think it helps to kind of see it that way. So I have a root folder. It's just called design. You could call it whatever the hell you want, you know. But I call it design. And that root folder has 2 folders inside of it. I have my personal works. Again, you can name that whatever you want. And I have client works. And actually in this case, I'll have like a parent folder here, and it'll be like projects or something, right? And then I'll have the clients in there, but it doesn't really matter. Inside of the personal folder, I'll have a year. I organize things chronologically. My personal folder is what I store all of my sketches, my little doodles. Sometimes this stuff turns into client work eventually, and that's cool. Most of the time it doesn't, and that's okay. But I like to keep it organized, so I like to do it by year. I would say optionally, like if I have maybe like I'm doing a bunch of sketches, or I'm doing like image sequences or something that requires a folder, I'll have a folder inside of the year. Maybe it's describing like the project I'm doing, like maybe I'm playing in Touch Designer and I'm experimenting with a particle generator and I've got a bunch of iterations of it. I'll tuck it in a folder, but more often than not, I'll have just the year and then the file name. And this is the bit that I like to keep semantic. So for me, my naming system is I do the month and the day, and then I name it something. You know, if it's a typographic sketch, I'll do that. Something I do often is like daily sketches, so I'll just, name it daily sketch or whatever. And that's it. I just think it's important to keep this searchable and just be consistent, because maybe one day you just want to look at all of your sketches and you can select the design folder, search within it, and just type sketch or sketches or whatever that keyword is, and you can see all of it. And that's pretty helpful. The client is very similar. I'll have up here, and I made a mistake, as I said, it should be personal client and then client name. Regardless, I like to organize things by the client, and then inside, if I work for that client over a period of time, I like to have the years. So maybe, let's think of a client name, Walmart. I've never worked for Walmart. And then I'll have 2026, 2025, and inside of those, I'll have the project name and then the file itself. Okay, for folks who like a little bit more of a visualization, again, basic design folder, I'll have clients or personal work. So there's a nice fork in the road right there. I go into client work, and then I've got my client names, and I go inside there, and that's where I have the files or project folders with the files stored within it. For the personal work, I keep it organized by year, and then it's sort of a free-for-all. I'll show you what it looks like in context here, okay? I'm going to go over to my documents. I'm going to go to work, Jordan, design. I'm still organizing some stuff. I'm taking this opportunity to tidy things up. I'm going to go into personal. I've got all these different years. I even have work dating back to 2010. This is like my high school portfolio. Some cringe stuff in here. I got into ceramics. I was really into street art, and my art teacher let me bring spray paint into the art room and create with it, which was very nice of her. Some of this stuff is pretty cringe. I think that's quite nice, actually. At any rate, I digress. What's nice is I can search this stuff really easily, because I know, what I was doing in 2010. I'll just go back there. Let me give you an idea of what it looks like a little bit later on whenever you're creating a lot of files. Again, I organize things by date. I know that metadata is already tied to the file. I just like to see it. I like to organize things alphabetically in my finders or my file explorers in the case of Windows. So I like to stick to that pattern. And let's see what we got here. We've got a poster for Thelonious Monk. It's really pixelated right now. That's okay. It doesn't matter. At any rate, so what I've been doing over the last week is I'm just going through these folders, grabbing what I think is helpful and relevant, and plugging it in. And so that's been pretty helpful. So that's my system. Use whatever system works for you. I just wanted to share that with you in case it's helpful. I do want to take a quick moment, and this isn't like an ad for anything, but I'll tell you a sad story. I was in college, and I was only in college for about maybe 3 quarters before I dropped out. And I dropped out because over spring break, I came home to Tulsa, Oklahoma to visit my now wife, Emma. And I got a call from my roommate, and he said, "Hey, did you take all of your stuff home?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "No, I just took like, a bag." And he was like, "Then we got robbed, like straight up." And sure enough, we did. They wiped me out. I lost my computer. I lost musical instruments. Anything that really plugged into a wall. We even had a clapper, to like turn the lights on. They stole that. They stole some silverware. We were absolutely like, I've never felt nausea like that hit. The saddest part wasn't the shit that I lost. It was, I lost all record of my life before that, because they also stole my backup hard drives. And so all the pictures that I had of like my childhood and my teenage years, and all the songs that I had recorded, and all of the stuff that I really spent a lot of time creating, was gone suddenly, and there was no way to get any of it back. Okay, it was awful. And thankfully, insurance covered and the stuff, and I was able to replace all that stuff. But I will never get the stuff I really care for back again, and that it doesn't make me as sad anymore. It's okay. But I just want to share that with you. I want to stress, like, please, just for yourself, for your future partner, your kids, if you choose to have them, back up your files. Back them up in a couple of locations. There's sort of the rule of 3s. You want 3 copies of everything. And I know that sounds a little excessive, and maybe it is, but it's for good reason. Have a copy of it locally on your machine. Have a copy of it like on a backup hard drive in your house, and have a remote copy somewhere. Okay, I know that sounds like a lot, and buying hard drives and all that stuff, it can be expensive. Please, just for yourself, save up for it. You can buy some pretty good used gear. I've done that many times. Something I recently did invest in, and again, it was an investment. It took me a while to like take the plunge here. I eventually purchased what's called a network attached storage device. Maybe you've heard of it. You don't have to buy this one. Look, these people don't even know I exist. I'm not like an affiliate or anything. This is just the one I went with. I would recommend it. You have to buy this and then the hard drives that go inside of it. Let me describe what it is in case you're curious. A network attached storage device is basically like, it's a hard drive, but it's a hard drive with a computer, and that computer is attached or connected to your local network. And what's really beautiful about this is all of my computers every night or every day back up to this server wirelessly. And my wife's, mine, all of it. And what's nice is it organizes all of our stuff. So all of our photos are in one location where we can search together. That's really nice. But also every night, these files are backed up to a remote server. So again, I've got the rule of 3s. I've got my local copy on my computer, my backup hard drive, and then the remote. It takes time to get things organized. It takes money to buy this stuff, but please do yourself a solid. I would hate for whatever happens to me to happen to you. Okay, that's all. I just wanted to share that. I have a supreme love for order and file organization, and sending supreme love to you wherever you are in the world. Maybe the next week we can actually get into like design and building some shit out, but I just wanted to take a moment and stress the importance of keeping your stuff organized so that you can do this as easily as possible. All right, bye.